guys, this is the first run for the 55. It's only a few miles on those back paved side roads to my buddy Mark's cookout. I did learn something though on a long drive here. Well, fairly long drive. I should have put a rubber isolator underneath that speaker box back there, because that thing is rattling and driving me nuts. Dang it. That's gonna suck to get back out of there. Son of a gun. Anyway, car seems to be doing good. I drove it to the gas station and put gas in it. But anyway, I'll get back with you. Well, it's a beautiful red. Golly, that's pretty.
Actually, this is one of the best times of year to wax a car. It'll take it the longest because it's cool. Even a hot treadmill car, it doesn't do it very well.
Well, all right, guys. I got back from my buddy Mark's cookout. Bring your cool car and eat cookout. I don't know what you would call that. Anyway, I got to give props to Mark and his wife Rebecca for that. It was fantastic, actually. The food was really good. I actually ate 2 cheeseburgers. I never eat 2 cheeseburgers, but that tells you something there. But anyway, I didn't have any problems out of the car. Kind of amazed. The furthest this car has been is one time around the block of my housing addition right here, which is not very far at all. I don't even know if that's a quarter mile. And the speed was like 20 miles an hour, 25 maybe. 15, I don't even know. But that's the furthest that it's been. And this morning I was running late, so I drove up here to my local gas station. And I just put a few gallons of gas in it because I don't know how much is in it. My gas gauge is not working yet. I haven't diagnosed that. It's one of the things I need to get fixed. But I put gas in it, and then I just took off for Mark's house. And so that's the first time driving it down the road. I think I got up to 45, 50 miles an hour. I didn't have any issues. The only problem I ran into was the speaker box is actually rattling on the trunk floor, I guess, or maybe the back panel back there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get in there and mess with that. I thought about it when I went to put that speaker box in there. I thought maybe I ought to put some rubber strips underneath that so it's not, you know, sitting on the floor, because it's, the speaker box is Raptor lined and the inside of the trunk is Raptor lined, so it's going to cause a, could cause a problem, you know what I mean? And I do have it bolted down on the bottom with bolts and nuts through the floor of the car, but I don't have anything on the top, and maybe that's what it needs. So I might try to put an isolator up top, drill a hole and put a nut bolt in there or something, I don't know. But anyway, so I do have to figure that out as well. But no problems out of the car at all. It drove straight. At one point I took my hand off the wheel and it drove straight, so I'm happy. It got into overdrive at 45 miles an hour and seemed okay. Transmission's shifting kind of firm, not too firm, not soft, so I'm happy with that. So I'm over the moon, man. I don't know what else to say. That's pretty freaking awesome. It's working really good. The only leaks I have is my transmission pan gasket is barely leaking. It's like if I leave it in here for like a week, it'll leave a little bitty spot. Let's see if I have a spot in here. Yeah, I've got like 2 drips right there, and it's been sitting in here for, man, I don't think I've drove this thing in a week. So, I mean, that's not too bad. But I've got a new transmission pan gasket. I just need to get in there and change it out. What else? It's kind of weird, you know. I set the timing on the engine. I set the air bleeds or the metering jets with a vacuum gauge, and I found out that I need to change a power valve. It's not correct for the carburetor for the engine, and you can't really tell it. It actually seems pretty peppy and seems fine. So I'm still going to change the power valve, but it's like not a super necessity right now, I guess. Let's see. I guess that's it. I mean, it was pretty awesome. I pulled up to my local gas station up here, and nobody come up and talk to me at the pump, which that's usually what happens when you show up in a classic car. But I wasn't there very long. I just put like 3.5 gallons in the tank and off I went, because I wasn't going very far. And I don't want the gas tank super full in case I've got to drain it and then, you know, to change the sending unit, whatever's wrong with that. I'm suspecting this new sending unit's just not any good, but I'm over the moon. I'm happy, man. It runs great. It rides pretty good. It rides like a lowered vehicle, so it is a little firm, but I do have some sport valve shocks on it for lowered vehicles, so it's going to make it ride a little firm. It's not squishy. I don't want a squishy ride on a lowered car because it causes them to bottom out and do all kinds of silly stuff, but I freaking love it. Lots of cool cars there. Really cool people. I met a lot of people. Really fun time, man. Hope I get invited next year. That was a good time. So get the air dams on in case you didn't notice that. I do have the air dam on it. It looks pretty decent under there. It's well, if you've been following my channel long enough, you know I like subtle, and that's why it is the way it is. You don't really hardly tell it's under there, but it just kind of gives it that little bit more of a lowered appearance, having that little bitty amount of air dam under there. And with it painted trim black, you don't really see it. Like, most people are not going to notice that, especially when you're up here. You don't really notice it, but it almost looks like it has a lower valance, you know, under the bumper, which is kind of cool. It looks like it could be there because it is an original bumper that I sectioned and fit to the car and built brackets and stuff, and it bolts on. Anyway, I'm happy with it, man. It's that's one good step right there, getting it out. And I got to tell you, when you build a car from the ground up, I mean, everything I done to that car. The only thing I did not build on that car is the speaker box. I did everything, and that was a bare shell, barely bolted to a frame when I got it. No engine, no transmission, no interior, no glass, no wiring, no nothing. It had already been stripped apart. It was on it was on a 56 Chevy chassis that the frame horn was bent. I put a chassis under it from a 55 I had. So, I mean, to do a car completely frame up, and it take 9 years for you to do it, and then to take out on the road and not have any issues other than a squeaky speaker box back there, I'll freaking take it. You know what I mean? That's pretty awesome. But I'm happy, man. I'm super happy. So now I can start, you know, focusing on some of the other stuff it needs, like the hood, which I'm still not going to work on that yet. I still need to work on the flippers. I never did get time to get to those. I only got one seat back in the car, and it's not even, I've got to end up pulling it out. So this thing, I worked from 12:30 p.m. yesterday to 3 o'clock this morning on that seat back, taking it apart, putting it together, cutting new foam, trying different things, stuffing batting in there, that re-pulling, stretching. I mean, it is the biggest mess trying to do seat backs on a 55 and 6 because they have this rolled over spot that goes under. It was a mess, but I got to tell you, this is the most comfortable seat I've ever had, and it's not squishy. It's like a new car. It's really like a new car, all firm. It's not a brick, but it's firm. I love it, man. I freaking love it. Anyway, I need to turn. That is exactly how the steering wheel, when I put it on there last night, that's how the steering wheel is. I need to take the nut off, pull it off, and turn it straight, and then it'll, because I pulled in straight, so I'll know how to put the steering wheel on there. But I need to put the steering wheel on straight, and then I can put my horn ring and center and all that stuff on. And I'm kind of waiting to put all the column cover and all the stuff on the column on there, all the chrome. I have it here, it's all re-chromed, but I'm waiting just in case I got to pull that cluster out to fix that fuel gauge. Because right now I don't know if I got a bad sender or a bad fuel gauge. That fuel gauge used to be in a car I had that I drove, and it used to work. This sending unit's brand new, you know, overseas part, and I have had one before brand new and put in the car and it didn't work. So this one's doing probably the same thing. Anyway, it's just new car bugs. I got a lot of stuff to work out, but good golly, man, I tell you, I'm happy with it. And when I left Mark's, I would have stayed there longer, but I had to get back and take my dog out. I think I left here at 10:30 this morning, and I took her out before I left. You know, I don't know what time it is. Probably 3 o'clock or something. I don't even know, really. But, you know, I don't like her to stay in the house without getting to go to the bathroom that long, so I had to come back and get my dog out. Or I'd have stayed there and hung out more, but anyway, it's kind of funny. On the way back, on one of the mile sections coming in, I was coming in, pulling up to a stop sign, and a guy pulled up to the other stop sign in front of me, and he stayed there. And then I see a cell phone come out the window, and he stayed there the whole time. I pulled up, stopped, and then turned to go beside him. So that was pretty awesome. I waved at him. It was really, really awesome. But I don't even know what to say, guys. I cannot tell you how proud I am to build a car from the ground up. 9-year project, and to finally get to take it out on the road, and especially to not have any oddball drivability bugs like you usually have, other than the speaker box squeaking. I mean, I figured it was going to have, you know, a lot part throttle stumble and all that, and it didn't even have that. Like when you goose it, it goes. So that's pretty freaking awesome. But anyway, so I didn't get to the other seat back. I ain't even started messing with the foam on it yet, but this one is almost done, other than this seam is split out. And this is what I done to this like a couple years ago when I tried these seats for the first time. I bought the brand new reproduction spring packs that go onto the factory seat frame, and they're way too thick. They were like 2 inches taller than the original that come out of it, and they're so stiff. When I was trying to put the cover on, it started splitting the seams. So I've got to go in here by hand and try to stitch this area back together. And that's right where that wrinkle is. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to, you know, mess with that and get that wrinkle out of there. I hope I can. But there's seat shells that go on there that cover a lot of this part here and down below. And I still have to put the curtain on the back. I haven't done anything with it yet, because I'm figuring I might have to pull that back off. I don't want to, because there's a lot of hog rings in it. It's a lot of work, but it feels fantastic. I just love the feel of that seat. The only thing, my only complaint is I'm sitting too high in it. So in case you don't know, on Tri-5 Chevys, there is a difference in seat brackets for the original front bench seats. So there are shorter ones, and they're from a 57 Chevy. I used to think, you know, all this time, I always thought hardtops and convertibles had their own seat frames, or seat slider tracks. I thought they were lower. That's not true. When I actually Googled it the other night and wound up at my favorite forum, tri5.com, and found a write-up about it. 57 Chevy brackets are lower than 55 and 56. I have one in my shed, one 57 seat bracket. I don't know if it's left or right. So I either need to try to track down another one for the opposite side, which probably would be at a salvage I know of, or I can take one of my mini spares from a 55, 56 in my shed, from one of those, and just section it and cut it down to match the 57. So that wouldn't cost me any fuel, it wouldn't cost me any time. It's something I can do here with my welder and my grinder, and do a little primer and block it and paint it. So, and I only got to do one. I can section it and make it look bone stock, like I don't think anybody ever noticed it was ever done. So I probably will just do that. I'll make one of the 55, 56 spares that I have in my shed match the 57 one that I have. But that seat's gonna have to come down because I am right at 6 foot tall. And that, it's pretty high up in there. So, I guess that's it. So I'm going to jump off here. That's long enough. So anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks again, Mark and Rebecca, for the fantastic time and the fantastic food. Met lots of cool people. I got to look at a lot of cool cars, and it was awesome. A lot of fun when you stand around a lot of car guys and you talk about cars. Made my day.